Hi everyone, I'm Gavin Sullivan. Today I'm going to be doing a TED Talk on climate change and why it's going to be probably the most important issue in our generation's lifetime. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is what we think about the future. In 50 years, including myself, I think we're all thinking about, flying cars, robots, just like crazy technology like that, just, crazy stuff like that. But instead, how come people aren't thinking about, rising sea levels? Why aren't we thinking about forest fires burning down entire states? Um, why aren't we thinking about melting glaciers? Because I think in 50 years, all of that stuff is going to be much more realistic and relevant than, flying cars and all the stuff that we really want to happen. Um, so, did you actually know in New York City, they put up a doomsday clock that reveals how much time that we have left to tackle the climate crisis before it's past the tipping point. And being past this tipping point means once it gets past this point, we're not going to be able to do anything to, bring the climate back to normal. Like there's nothing we can do. It's past the point. And that number is actually only a little over 7 years, which is something that is terrifying to think about. Um, it was actually, I think it was September 14th, 2020. It was 7 years and 90 days. So time is definitely ticking. That's definitely something scary, especially for people our age, because in 7 years, most of you watching this, you're gonna have started your careers. Some of you might even have families, and is that something you really want to like put on your shoulders in 7 years when you're getting your adult life started? Do you want to remember that the Earth is past its tipping point and that the world is ending? It just doesn't sound too ideal to me. And that's why I think climate change is going to be, the issue that defines this generation. It's going to be one of the biggest issues in the world. Um, However, it's important, like us as a society, we shouldn't give up. We shouldn't be negative about this because doing that is just going to make the situation worse. There's a lot of solutions that we can do to actually turn this around. And it just starts with changing our daily lives day by day. Um, the first solution that I came up with, which I think is a very important one, is changing our main energy source from fossil fuels to renewable energy. Um, so the share of U.S. energy consumption from fossil fuels has fallen from 94% in 1966 down to 80% in 2019. That's only 14% over all those years, so there's definitely a long way to go. It's going to be something hard to do because the United States economy and a lot of people's jobs are, revolved around fossil fuels. We as a country make a lot of money off using fossil fuels, and I think it's going to be hard to, turn ourselves away from that and turn ourselves to clean and renewable energy. But it is possible, and it's important that we do it. Some of this energy that I'm talking about, I bet you've heard of geothermal energy, solar energy, solar panels. I bet some of you have them on your house. Wind energy. These could very well be the answer to all of these. Compared to fossil fuels, they all have zero to little pollution, which is huge for our climate and greenhouse gas emissions. So apart from getting clean energy and changing our main energy sources, which will take some time, another thing we need to think about is changing our transportation methods. So me myself, I own a car, just a classic four-door sedan gasoline car. It's old. I love it. I rely on it every day. It is my prized possession. I would do anything for it. Probably my favorite thing I have ever. I have no idea what I would do without it. However, these automobiles that we're driving are extremely detrimental to the climate, and it's time that we need to change our mode of transportation if it means saving the world. So burning fossil fuels in hundreds of millions of cars, it releases a lot of carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. So I think the automobiles is definitely a big part of why we're here today and why the climate is at this tipping point. But there are some really great and easy solutions to the automobile problem, which I assume you guys have all heard about: Tesla and smart cars, battery-powered cars. In my opinion, not only are these cars nicer and faster, but you're saving the world too. So I think it's just a win-win situation for the consumer and for the environment. And also, if you're just in town and you're thinking about driving to your friend's house, you're going out to eat. If it's nice out, why don't you think about, if it's a couple miles, why don't you think about riding your bike, or why don't you think about going on a walk with your friends? It'll really save a lot of, if everyone around the world does this, these numbers will add up, and it'll really make a difference in the world. Also take public transportation when you can. It's better than getting in your own automobile and creating your own footprint. Another form of transportation that I wanted to talk about was the aviation industry. Something that we could work on in the time being is flying on airplanes minimally while they still release a lot of emissions. I think hopefully in the future there's going to be some sort of airplane or aircraft that'll release much less emissions, and that'll be better and more efficient for the consumer. But in the meantime, airplanes are definitely pretty detrimental to the climate. According to ATAG, which is the Air Transport Action Group, 915 million tons of carbon dioxide was produced in 2019 by a worldwide aviation industry, that is a lot. They also found that the aviation industry is responsible for producing around 2% of all of human-involved carbon dioxide emissions. This doesn't seem like a lot, but you have to remember not everyone is flying every day like they're driving cars. There's usually only a small amount of people that are frequent flyers, these people that are going on, business conferences and traveling for their job, going on tours, stuff like that. I think in the future we're going to see some ways to combat this. I think especially with the coronavirus, and there's a lot of weird stuff going on right now. I think, for instance, like conferences, instead of having everyone fly to one spot, I think we're going to see a lot of people going on Zoom instead. You're saving money, you're saving time, and everyone stays healthy. So I think that's definitely something we're going to see in the future. But yeah, that's all I had to say about climate change. I really hope the information I presented you guys today really opens your eyes and shows you the problem that we have, that our generation is going to have to tackle when we're adults. It's definitely not going to be easy, but it's something we all need to get started with. So yeah, thank you so much for watching my TED Talk, and I hope you all have a great night.